Hello and welcome to the Business Spotlight interview series. I'm your host, Mackenzie Muse, and I'm joined today by Emran, who is the owner of Spiri Robotics. Thank you so much for joining us, Emran. Would you like to kick us off with a brief background as to who you are and what you do?
So sorry, there was a bit of a correction there. So yeah, my name is Emran. I'm the director of software engineering at Spiri Robotics and the lead electrical engineer in drinkable water solutions. And I also co-founded Bluetooth Technologies.
Perfect. Thank you very much for that. Sorry, I apologize. And so would you like to give us a little bit of a background of what your company does and what you do in your
Absolutely.
company?
So Bluetooth Technologies is a fintech company. We make financial software and hardware for financial institutions. One of our main products right now is called Blueprint Lives Here, which basically allows users to have something called Blueprint tokens, which can be used as currency in a variety of different institutions. Right now, we're testing out our product at Dalhousie University. We deployed our software, doing beta version of our software work. We're currently going through some tests, waiting for some paperwork to come in, and hopefully launch in full scale within the next couple of years, expanding to big institutions such as the TD and EDC. I am also the director of software engineering at Spiri Robotics. Here we make autonomous drones. The idea is to basically use drones for a variety of reasons, such as collecting water samples to monitor water quality, relating networks across the globe at this point, especially to remote areas where internet is hard to reach, possibly extend to Starlink down the line, and some of the defense contracts that I can't fully discuss here. And at Drinkable Water Solutions, we are making the world's first handheld portable water impurity detection device. So it's a handheld device you can carry wherever you want. You can put it in a water sample, and within 5 minutes, you can test your water sample for some of the most critical impurities that are known to cause diseases and disease.
All right, that's very interesting. Thank you. And if you were to start at square one with Spiri Robotics, is there anything that you would have done differently?
My transition to Spiri Robotics has been pretty smooth so far. When I came in, I had to take on the task of basically putting together a lot of different pieces that weren't connecting up, um, basically manage all these things, build a lot of the infrastructure, and put them in a platform that users can access. So I think one thing that I might have done differently is focus more on public relations from the very beginning. I was very involved with the technical side from the very beginning, and I think it would have helped a little more if I extended that a little more to public relations.
Okay. And the next question is, what would you attribute your growth to at Spiri Robotics?
Spiri Robotics, there are many different aspects, but I think the one I would highlight the most is working with non-technical teams. Historically, I've mainly worked on the technical side of things, so strictly engineering, maybe a little bit of business development, but more than marketing, public relations. In this role, I definitely have to do a bit of everything and are very heavily involved in the management side of things now. So it's a sort of new role for me, and I think every day I'm learning things. I'm thankful that everything's coming together, and we are hopefully getting to our first product launch within the next couple of months, hopefully by the end of April.
Perfect. That's very exciting. And what would you say some of the common misconceptions about running a business are, and how would you address them?
So the biggest misconceptions, there are quite a few. I think I learned the hard way myself. I think one of the biggest ones I've learned is how much the people matter in a company. The idea is that you can have the best product, you can have the best innovative uh, set of tools in your place, in your arsenal, but at the end of the day, if the people that are working towards achieving that goal are not in tune, they're not aligned with the company's culture, and don't have a great idea of where they're going, things can easily fall apart. I've seen this in many different aspects or many different instances in my life. Over time, I've learned that, okay, this is one of the things that needs to be taken care of from the get-go. So building personal relationships with people, checking up on them, even on a personal basis, understanding how their personal lives are going, because it does impact their work efficiency. So it's important to keep a track of all these things and understand when employees falling back, what the reasons might be behind falling back and giving them the right support to come back to pace.
I completely agree with that. All right. And that ties into, so how do you balance your personal life with the demands of running the business?
It's a challenge for sure. I think everyone in that space has to make some sacrifices. I myself make my sacrifices on my sleep side of things. So I sleep a lot less than the average human being. That's not something I'd recommend to other people, but I think generally speaking, having good discipline is a very important factor. Understanding that sitting around and just taking a few minutes here and there off can accumulate throughout the day to a huge number. So being very critical with how your day is structured, how your routine goes, planning things ahead of time. For example, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is take out my checklist and write down the important things I have to do in the day. At least on the day. This practice was very important, so I started carrying a to-do list or a notebook on me, and I use my phone as well. Scheduling meetings was very important, just because when there's so many things happening, it's very easy to keep a track of which event is happening at which time. So being diligent with entering the information in my calendar, setting the appropriate notifications, alerts, and it also reflects greatly on the customer's end, because when you are diligent and showing up in the right times, showing to your client and customers that you are basically on top of these things, it helps creating more trust with the clients. And at the end of the day, that is what the business is for, to make good relations and build a strong infrastructure.
That's a great answer. Thank you. And a couple more questions, but what qualities do you look for in employees when you're hiring, and how do you foster a positive and productive work environment?
We actually went through a lot of these issues very recently because we've been hiring a lot of people. I think one of the things that I strongly abide by at this point is that I would rather work with someone who has a good foundational or fundamental knowledge of things rather than someone who's specialized. In other words, if we were to compare engineers, I would rather work with a good general engineer as opposed to someone with very niche skills. And the reason is because niche skills only apply to very small parts of the business, I would say. You may use it for maybe 1 or 2 months throughout the year, but the other 80-90% of the year, you are working with general tasks. And these general tasks usually require a good foundational knowledge of things. So someone who has a good schooling in their background is a lucrative thing. Not compulsory, but it's lucrative. Someone who has worked with small and big-sized companies to be able to understand how to navigate between small and big teams, how to even communicate with teams from different sectors, different departments. These are, I think, very valuable skills to have in the business.
Exactly. So well-rounded employees, that's what you're looking for.
Absolutely.
All right. And lastly, for everyone watching, what are the biggest learnings as an employer since you've been in business?
Biggest learnings. Well, number one would definitely be discipline is very important. Um, as a person who is leading, leadership role in any business, the discipline that you put forward is directly reflected on your team. When you have junior people who are looking up to you, and most of the times, junior people don't have a lot of experience dealing with complex tasks. Most of the times, they usually end up learning from people who are more senior in the company. Like I myself have learned most of my skills from working with some very talented engineers in the past. I've learned things that I never even imagined could be important for a business, for any job. And now I take a lot of those things and apply it to my current roles. And on the flip side, I can see how junior people that I'm working with are in a similar state that I used to be. So it's a bit of a deja vu to see that look of being lost or despair and understanding that, okay, it's a very normal part of the process. They will eventually learn from the people higher up how they conduct themselves. So it's very important to have that demeanor moving around. The other thing I would definitely highlight is building good relationships with people. I would say it's more important to have a good relationship with the people in your company than the work you do. At the end of the day, even if your technical skills are falling behind a little bit, you can get most tasks done if you have a good team that you're working with and connecting with. So if your team efficiency is good, I think you can make up for a lot of lackings in the technical skills. And I think lastly, I highlight keeping a track of one's own health. Um, it's very hard to operate in a very busy space if you're, let's say, sleep deprived or not eating right or getting sick too often. Leadership roles don't really have that kind of space to allow these things to happen too often. Projects rely so heavily on people in leadership roles that even a couple of days of unexpected sick days could cause a project to fail, which would cost a company hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars even. So staying on top of your health and also making sure that other people in the team are in a healthy state, both physically and mentally. I think this is one of the most important things required to work the team aspect.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Emrad. It was great meeting with you and learning more about your entrepreneurial journey. To everyone watching, I look forward to seeing you in our next episode.
Thank you so much for having me.